Hi, this is Sniz with Bloodbane. This is part 2 of my unit comparison for offensive units. Again, just this is talking about strictly the value of these units in terms of an offensive unit-to-unit killing force. Where I left off is I was talking a little bit about the Mage, how the Warlock, Zerk, and Mage are basically your three viable offensive unit-to-unit unit. The Mage is obviously the best. The reason I have gone with Zerks and Warlocks up to this point, and I'm actually shifting to Mages now that I'm going into Naval. The main reason that I've been selecting a Warlock over a Mage is it's an expensive unit compared to in terms of food consumption and the cost to replace. It's a very expensive unit, but it's also twice as fast with the same carrying capacity. And I have been working a lot of long-distance ground support, assaults, clearing. I've had my, with a decent Warlock castle reasonably centered in a continent. It puts just about the entire continent in a reasonable striking range with decent timing. So I've been using Warlocks as a ground assault force. I've been quite well aware of the fact that I'm spending more they're expensive in terms of food. It's hard to keep food in a Warlock castle. And they're certainly fast, and that's the main reason I've been going with them. Zerks, basically, it's more of an access to gold issue in terms of using Zerks versus Mages. Zerks carry more than Mages, and so in terms of loot capacity for a good raiding force, that's great. And like I was talking about before, the main reason I think Zerks are cheaper is even though they are 150 iron versus 200 total, gold and iron. The Zerk is iron, doesn't cost any gold. And at the past development stages of my empire, gold has been probably the hardest thing to come by. So I've been leaning towards Zerks only because they cost iron instead of gold. So like I said, you got to factor that stuff in. But in terms of a straight comparison, I consider the Mage the most efficient killing machine out there. They have problems with their speed and their loot capacity when compared to the other two. The reason that I'm shifting to Mages, and let me finish the assessment of the other units. Now, these are Katas, Rams, and Galleons. I consider these siege assault force, sieges, i.e. building and wall damage. For those that may not be tracking this, Katas do damage to buildings, not walls and not towers. But Katas will take out other buildings, do damage to them, and when they're doing damage, they're basically reducing the level, and you're slowly grinding down the level of the buildings inside, which is ultimately grinding down the level of a city. Ultimately, your Katas can destroy every building except for the town hall. It'll take it down to level 1, and a castle down to level 1. Every other building can be absolutely destroyed and will disappear. Where Rams do damage against walls and towers. So if you don't have any Rams in your siege force, you'll take down all the buildings, but your walls and towers won't be touched. In the same way, if you send Rams without Katas, the Rams will take down walls and towers and won't take down buildings. So the combination of these units is what you need to be able to tear down walls and buildings. Obviously, the value in these units is the fact that they tear down walls and buildings and the others don't, so they're obviously an important part. But in terms of assessing their use in terms of unit to unit, they're really obviously not the best unit type to go after killing other soldiers. The Kata, very low cost per or damage per cost, very low food. They cost a lot of food, a lot of slots. These are a necessary part of an army, but they're basically there to do one thing, and that's to tear stuff down. Typically, I'll have 1 or 2 Kata Ram groups per continent. Now, the Galleon is kind of a combination of the two. Obviously, Galleon needs to be attacking a watered target. But the Galleon is a combination of the two. The Galleon does damage to walls and towers. I'll be assessing their value for damage to buildings later, but these values for these comparisons are their damage per units, not for the buildings. So anyway, and then the last part, the frigate is interesting because the frigate, it's got its own attack value. So when you have a frigate in your navy, it's attacking. And obviously those values are very low, but the value of the frigate is it carries 500 heads, 500 space in the ship. So a frigate can carry 500 mages, or it can carry 250 warlocks, or it can carry 50 catapults, although you obviously wouldn't want to do that with the catapult. It can carry 500 Zerks. So the value of the frigate is that it's a transport for your ground forces to be part of your naval assault. And so the last category that I put in here just for comparison's sake is mage and frigate. This is the values based on a frigate fully loaded with mages. And because the minute you're now boarding a ship, the mage's big disadvantage has been their travel speed, and loot capacity, where the ship is now the loot capacity and travel speed indicator. So the mage is by far the best unit to load into frigates as an assault force. So I'll be covering some of the tactics as far as assault versus siege and so on. But that's a basic comparison. That's the reason that, when I see people attacking, it's kind of the kitchen sink attack. I think a lot of people have played other games, and I think there's synergies between units, and you got to have, if you have your paladins and your templars in there, you'll be giving your other units morale or who knows what. Those are dimensions that, as far as I understand, have nothing to do with this game. Unfortunately, maybe it will at some point in the future, but right now you're talking about a fairly straight assessment of what's worth what. You really don't want to have ballistas, for example. I see people attacking with ballistas constantly. I mean, a ballista is the worst unit I can think of to use offensively. So anyway, hope that helps me kind of make sure I've covered everything. Well, let me go back to just a comparison as far as what to load into ships. That's it. Frigate versus galleon. I think a lot of people think in terms of, I'm just going to send galleons to attack when attacking a naval target. Now, a galleon by itself, this is versus unit, it's decent. It's a 20, but it's much, much lower than other assault forces. So when you're looking at that opening attack that's going to actually clear out their defensive units so you stop losing, they're very slow to build. That's a factor to put in with the galleon, and they're very expensive for the damage that they do. So in terms of getting to a castle and clearing out their defenses, you're far better off sending a frigate loaded with mages for that opening assault to clear it out. And then your galleons come in behind that. They're pretty good at killing the units that may be rebuilt or sent in as support after the opening assault. But the main role of the galleon, the way I'm using galleons, is like I was using katas and rams. I'll send my warlocks in to clear out your defenses. Once your defenses are all dead, my katas and rams come in behind it and tear down your buildings. Naval assaults, it's about sending your frigates full of mages, in my opinion, to clear out your defenses, and then my galleons come in behind that. Keep finishing off whatever you may add after your main group is down and starts destroying buildings. So anyway, this last line, that's what it's for, is I've taken the total of what 500 mages cost and damage and whatnot, plus the frigate's value. And so this is what it would be with one frigate loaded with mages. And as you can see, that's a 0.30, which is still pretty darn good and much better. It's 50% more effective than a galleon in terms of killing capability versus cost. And it's better for food and better for cost per head, damage per head. So hope that helps. I'll be doing some more maybe tonight, but we'll get started with these two. Enjoy.